It was hot and a little bit breezy on the prairie along the Red Deer River. And probably not as green as it should be at this time of year. The crocuses have all gone to seed. The blanket flowers, well, they're blooming. Much to the joy of the native bees. And it seems like there's a bumper crop of wild roses. There's still plenty of water in the little creek that runs down to Finnegan Ferry. But this kingbird was panting in the heat, as were these waxwings. I always find it strange to see waxwings out on the prairie. They seem like mountain birds to me. Along with them by the creek were goldfinches and grackles, very noisy grackles. Kingbirds and catbirds perched on the buffalo berry branches. But the cactus blossoms, they were enjoying the heat and the dry. I love these guys. They're the main reason I was out here. But photographing them, well, it's almost impossible to do without getting poked. But that spiky beauty, yeah, it's worth it. The blossoms were starting to close up because the day was coming to an end, but I didn't want to go home quite yet. So I hopped on the ferry across the Red Deer River and just kept on rolling. This native prairie out here around the Red Deer River, well, it's just beautiful. Especially today with those vast grasslands and that big sky full of wispy clouds. And the moon just rising. Bull Pound Creek didn't have a lot of water, but it was still one of the greenest places around. Green enough for this gopher to find something to eat. But you could really see how dry it is when these antelope trotted across a field. It shouldn't be dusty yet, but it is. The sun was starting to drop quickly now, and the golden light was spreading across the prairie. Antelope wandered among the grazing cattle, or just stood and watched the sun go down. The day stayed hot as the sun fell and finally dropped below the horizon. The prairie birds kept singing as a long summer twilight began. And then a surprise. A bull elk out on the prairie where his ancestors used to roam. It was hot and it was dry, and the cactus was in bloom. Summer on the prairie has begun.